Let's talk periods. Most of us are still getting one once a month. Some of us may be getting them irregularly,
Hmm.
but it all happens, and we need to work out what the impact of that is on our eating habits. Welcome to our podcast, Fuck the Diet Cycle, with myself, Lauren Knight, and Abby Lodge. This is for you if you want to cut through the diet industry bullshit and finally end that cycle. Grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive straight in, shall we?
A lot of our listeners are still getting their periods, or have been through it and experienced it. And we all know through being female, when that time of the month is coming up, you do generally get more cravings, you do generally feel more hungry, but yes, okay, you may feel more hungry, you may get more cravings. It's not an excuse. It is not an excuse to take time out every single month from your weight loss journey because you're on your period. We just need to understand what is going on with our body as to why you are feeling that way. So there is a science behind it. And, like the week before your period, you may feel more hungry, and that is because of the rising level of the progesterone in your body, and the your serotonin is lowering. So obviously serotonin makes you happy, and if that hormone is decreasing, what is the first thing that most people want to do to make themselves happy? Eat food. So therefore you are going to feel those needs to go in and reach for them foods. But it's about understanding that during these periods of time, we need to be finding foods that are going to satisfy and fuel our body for this period that is coming up, for all these changes that are going on within the female body, so that every 2, 3 weeks we're not going, oh, during my period, I need to eat all that chocolate, I need to eat all the crisps and God knows what, and there's no way around it. There absolutely is a way around it, and it's not an excuse.
Yeah, and the decrease in serotonin, actually, there are many ways of increasing serotonin that doesn't include
Without
food.
food.
So it's about getting out and doing a bit of exercise or doing a activity at home that you really enjoy doing. It's about turning to other ways that doesn't include just eating the low nutritious foods, because all that does is it gives you that rise of serotonin, that dopamine, but it also gives you a big flipping crash as well. And when you're already feeling low, because let's face it, nobody enjoys being on their period, we get it. When you're having that crash, though, that's just leading into that negative mindset. And then what happens? Oh, I fucked up. I might as well continue now. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, what could have been controlled and navigated successfully so that you do feel a bit better. I'm not saying you're going to be ecstatic about being on your period, but you don't have to go to the lows and then go, oh, I've messed up now. I'll wait until my period's passed, because by the time that happens, you've then got to refight yourself to get back onto your journey, look forward, get yourself out of that diet mentality, stop craving the sugar again, and all of those things that you had been working so hard on. You get yourself back on the playing field. Ah, oh, it's time of the month
It's
again.
back
We
again.
go back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every single month, this is going to be the same cycle if you don't start learning how to navigate through this time of the month. So, what other ways can you look at increasing your serotonin? How is it that you can find
Yeah.
comfort away from food? Because we feel rubbish. Like, some people suffer more than others. And I understand that for some people, it is literally bed bound,
Horrendous.
like it's horrific. But we're talking about the average period. It's not nice, but it's manageable, right? So everyone's going to be different. Like, how my period is might be different to Abby's, and what I need to do to boost serotonin will be different to how Abby deals with that. But if we sit there going, well, and this was me, by the way, as you could probably imagine, the only way I'm going to get through this is by eating
Chocolate.
chocolate. Chocolate makes you feel good. Chocolate gives you that serotonin. It gives you that caffeine boost. It's got the sugar that I'm craving. Blah blah blah. But it also gives me the massive crash, and it also actually leads to more headaches, and it gives me a tummy ache, and it makes me feel sick because I've ate too much and I'm out of control. But you ignore all that stuff because you only want to focus on the good stuff to give the excuse to eat it. So let's start understanding, okay, if you are craving salty things, for example, How are you going to increase your sodium intake without turning to a big bag of Share ready sorted crisps? If it is chocolate, how are you going to get that chocolate into your daily routine without sitting there eating a Share size bag of buttons? There are other ways. You can have a chocolate protein pudding,
Protein,
for
yeah.
example. You could have a cup of soup, or if you know a very well-known brand, you could have a one-to-one diet golden veg water flavoring. Like there are
And
other
they are
ways.
so salty as well. Like, because I am more of a salty, savory person, and they are game changers, like cup of soup, things like that, to try and increase that sodium, or just have something a little bit more savory, like food wise, than going for that share bag of 15,000 crisps, which,
Yes.
let's face it, they're never gonna make you, they're never gonna make you feel. But I think, like, even in schools, they almost teach you from like a very young age that chocolate is, it's like a, goes hand in hand,
Yeah,
like
well,
type of thing.
what
Do you
happened with
remember with
Scarlett?
Scarlett? Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking about.
So Scarlett started her period in school. She was well equipped for it. She knew what it was. She wasn't scared by it at all. Anyway, I took her down some bits and pieces, and her teacher, who is lovely, by the way, and meant no harm at all. She was like, make sure when you get home, mummy gets you a big bar of chocolate and you watch Netflix in bed. Like, so from that young age, she's like, oh, hello. What did I go and do? I went out and got a bubbly bath. I got her a new book. I got a colouring in, face mask. So I went down the self-care route instead, because if we start saying chocolate makes periods better from your
Chocolate
first
makes
period,
everything better.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's the rest of her life now. She would have been, okay, chocolate's going to be the only thing that gets me through. But it's not. It's self-care. It's taking that time for you. It's going to have that bubbly bath, a nice walk in the field, whatever. It's not raiding the kitchen cupboards hoping that it's going to take your period away, because guess what, people? It's not.
Going to happen, and this is the thing. It doesn't change any of the signs or what is actually going on in your body. Like you said, you get the the tiniest high, and then the crash is, it's not worth having that crash to then have to have more to then make you feel good. We have to start looking at other things that are going to make you. So for me, I will go outside. I'm an outdoorsy person, and if I'm feeling very shit, I'll go to the horses, go and just be outside to take my, it takes my mind off things as well, to be fair.
Mm.
And to make you feel good. I know for you, you are, you like to have your baths.
Yeah. At least I smell nice.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm fresh.
But
But
we're never taught about self-care. I mean, it's becoming more, it's becoming more of a thing in this kind of day and age. I do understand that, like, because you've got like 12-year-olds doing skincare and God knows what, like 15-step skincare routines, which I just think you're crazy. But it's never the go-to thing. It's almost like a taboo thing that you're. I know for me, before I started implementing self-care, it was almost like I felt selfish
mm-hmm.
for taking that time for myself. Like, why do you deserve that time? Well, rather than going and putting on a stone by eating 15 bars of chocolate, thanks. I'll look after myself.
And I think it's really important as well that we start tracking our periods, because
Yes.
even some of my clients that say, yeah, but I don't get a period because I'm on the pill, the one
Yeah.
that stops you from having periods. I'm like, no, but your body is still changing. You're still clearly going through these changes, because this happens at the same time every month. So
Mhm.
if we can start tracking this, how you're feeling, your changes in your skin, your headaches, cravings, stomach, all of these things are still happening. Whether you actually bleed or not doesn't mean that you're not having that chemical change. So I use a tracking app on my phone, nothing
So do I.
fancy. I just track it on there, so I pretty much know, okay, where I'm at in my cycle. And that goes hand in hand with my moods. Believe me, the whole household know when I'm due on. I know because I'm like, right, okay, I'm starting to get a bit picky. I'm wanting little bits and pieces. I don't actually want it, but I'm like, oh, I fancy that and I fancy this. And I'm like, right, okay, it's that time of month. So therefore, I turn to even more protein to make sure that when I'm having my meals, they are sustaining me. So I know inside my head, you're not hungry, Lauren. You just fancy it. So making sure that I'm properly fueled. I also ensure that I've got those chocolate flavored things because that for me is what I'm looking for. So having the I really love the protein mousse. Like that for me is I would happily go and grab one of them out. Again, I've got the protein, it's taking the hunger, but it's also hitting my craving. By tracking all of that, you know where you're at, you know what to do. And instead of going, oh, where's this feeling come from? I must be starving, or I can't do this all of a sudden. My mindset's not in the right place. It's none of that. You genuinely have chemical changes, hormones going around your body, and we just need a better understanding. Nobody talks about that.
No, and that's why it's so important to be in touch with and in tune with your body, wherever you are on your weight loss journey. We say about it with like hunger and like sitting down and things, but if you know all of these things that are actually going on and being aware, you can kind of pinpoint, right, okay. For me, around the time that I am due to ovulate, I'm like, I'm starving. No, and I didn't understand it for so long. I used to be like, what's hungry? Like, what's going on? And then I started tracking it. I was like, oh, okay, I'm ovulating. That is just what happens for me. I want to eat more food. And like you say, I just have more protein filled foods so that I don't get those breaks in between where I'm like, could go and eat a bag of crisps or like for me, it used to be a pot noodle. I
Mm,
mean, I do still like a pot noodle, but that used to be like my go-to was a pot noodle. But and obviously there's no protein in that and it's just processed shit. Um, so having those things to keep me full and satisfied so I can be like, right, okay, you're not actually hungry. Let's go and go outside or do something that's going to make you feel good and to boost those serotonin levels.
yeah. And understanding as well that it's not you failing, it's not
Mm.
that you can't do something, it's none of that. It's genuinely that you've got a chemical change going on, a hormone change happening, and now let's start understanding that. Let's give ourselves the time that we deserve because we're worth it
Mhm.
and stop giving us the excuses of, well, it's the time of the month, I can't do this because you limit well can, you just need to find out how. Thank you for listening. If you loved it, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the little bell so that you never miss a future episode. We will be back here with a new one on Sunday at 7 a.m.